See you and Cinda and Alex and Mac and your nice family today. So wonderful to reconnect with you. I'm going to put Alex Rodriguez, the baseball player, into perspective for you. We're going to talk about Alex Rodriguez beyond the baseball player a lot today, but I want to talk to you a little bit about who he is as a baseball player, because people tend to shorthand this stuff by using a phrase or two, you know, great player, you know, one of the all-time greats, but I just want to put this into context for you. Every year, about 3 million kids play Little League. And of those Little Leaguers, about 5% will ever play in high school. Okay, and if you're a high school player and you want to play in college, about 5% will play in college. You can see it's narrowing pretty quick, right? And every June, the major leagues have a draft, and the 1,500 best college and high school players in America are drafted. Okay? Of those, about 45 will ever see a day in the major leagues. 1,500 kids drafted, 45 will make it to the major leagues, and the average career is about 4 years in the major leagues, if you make it. All right, now we're going to get into Alex Rodriguez. There were 1,500 kids drafted the year he was drafted. He was the first choice in the draft. He was the first pick of the first round. Okay? He was in the major leagues at the age of 18. Unheard of. And he had one of the greatest careers ever. I'm not going to go into all the stats, but here's the only thing I want you to remember today. And it's a little bit sad because it's just one stat, but it's one you'll remember. Major League Baseball has been around now for 142 years. The National League started in 1876. And in those 142 years, only 3 players hit more home runs than Alex Rodriguez. Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, and Babe Ruth. So when we talk about one of the all-time great players, he's sitting right here. I mean, really, he's kind of in a class by himself. But there's so much more to Alex Rodriguez, and we're going to get to that today a little bit. Alex, thanks for being here and for caring about St. Philip's and caring to see St. Philip's. You know, maybe the greatest story in America as far as the school goes, in terms of nurturing and teaching kids, and all the people that surround them with this love and caring that'll change their trajectory for life and for generations to come. And what happens here really is nothing short of a miracle. Every time I'm down here, I am just, it fills my heart with joy. It's the best part of my day, every day I'm down here. And so I really love it. And a lot of the credit goes to Dr. Flowers for his leadership, and for the staff and the teachers who really support this, and all the volunteers too. So big hand to the St. Philip's family. Okay, so let's get started. How's your day been so far?
Well, first of all, my day has been incredible. Thank you so much for having me here. You know, Dallas was such a significant place for me. Obviously, Tom and Cinda Hicks brought me here after my career in Seattle. My firstborn, Natasha, was here, and obviously it was a significant place for me. But Dale, first of all, thank you for all that you've done for so many people, starting with the Hall of Fame. You doubled the amount of African Americans that entered the Hall of Fame. Thank you for all your great work socially and every level. And you mentioned 142 years of our baseball career. And, you know, baseball, and it's hard to say this in Dallas, but it is our national pastime. And, you know, you mentioned that only 3 people in the history of the game have more home runs than me. But there's also another stat that I'm not so proud of, is there's also 5, I'm 5th all-time in the history. 5th all-time in the history of strikeouts. So that means only 4 people in the history of mankind have struck out more than me, which technically gives me a PhD in failing. You know, but I always tell the kids, I also have a master's in getting back up and keep fighting hard. And I look at some people in the crowd today. Tom Hicks was not only a friend, but a mentor of mine in times that I spent at his house with Cinda. I look at someone like Roland Parrish, who McDonald's told you no about 4 or 5 times, And then they said yes, and thank goodness for both for them. And now you're not only one of the best operators, but one of the biggest in the entire country. So before we get into any questions about me, that's probably gonna be the most boring part. I mean, we are here because of the children, and I spent an incredible morning today with Dr. Flowers and Miss Morel. Thank you very much. You know, I started this week in Los Angeles at the Oscars. And I was wearing a white tux. And about 25 people asked me for a martini. And then hors d'oeuvres. Bradley Cooper, I sat right behind him and Gaga. And he said, "Hey Rod, go get me a Sex on the Beach, I'm nervous." And I said, "Bradley, I was a pretty good baseball player." And now I'm here today, and I spent an hour or so with Dr. Flowers and Mrs. Morel, and I feel like a student. And this is one of the most incredible places I've ever been. The fact we're 1.7 miles away from downtown, one of the greatest cities in the world, Dallas, and you have 12 acres, that is really transformational. And when you think about what Walmart is to a retail center, this is what St. Philip's is to this community, is a true anchor. And as a church that started in 1947, I've learned all this just in the last 24 hours. You know, Chris and Ashley, we're so thankful for your time last night at your beautiful home. I could have spent all night there. I forgot how warm, intelligent, and nice the people are here in Dallas. It's so much more than a school, is what I've learned. It's part of a community. Is open every night to 8 p.m. And it's really why we do the things we do, is to give this next generation an opportunity that some of us have been fortunate to have. And I thank all of you here today for what we're doing. You could be in many other places, but you're here today for the greater good of St. Philip's in this community. So thank you.
So Alex, I want you to take us back to Alex Rodriguez, 10-year-old, sort of the age of these children. And what did you like to do? I mean, obviously you were gifted athletically, but what did you like to do? What were your hobbies? You know, what were your dreams? That we heard about dreams a little bit earlier today. Can you remember back to 10 years old?
I can, and you know, Dale, for me, I remember the 10-year-old boy sitting in my father's lap and thinking about having two dreams. One, I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player, but don't we all? and number two, I wanted to be a CEO or CEO of a major company, go to graduate school, get my MBA. And I was actually thinking about this as a 10-year-old, kind of a weird kid, I don't know why. But these were my dreams. And I always remember, born in New York, raised in Miami, I remember the men walking by in really nice pinstripe suits with a briefcase. And I always wanted to be like them. And I always wondered, what's in that briefcase? Sometimes I still wonder what's in that briefcase. And that was my dream. And I was raised by a single mother, and she had two jobs. And I thought it was normal. I thought it was absolutely the bar normal that every mother was single and that every mother had three jobs or two jobs. And my mother was a secretary in the morning, and she served tables at night. And I always recall her coming in late at night. I would finish watching the baseball game. I watched probably more baseball game, and Tom will tell you, I was come home after the Ranger games, and I would have 3 TVs, and I would watch all the West Coast games in preparation for next week. Really, balance wasn't part of my life. I'm not sure it is today either. But I remember my mother coming home Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, and I would take her pouch out, and I would first start counting her money, Dale. 21, 22, 23, that was tip money. I said, great mom, and then I would give her a little foot massage. And then by Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I remember Saturday nights, boy, those were the big nights, 61, 62, 63. I felt like we were Warren Buffett. I mean, really rich. And it was just wonderful to understand the value of of hard work, the value of commitment, grit. You know, my mom wasn't an educated mother, but she had what it took. She had that great character and really fought hard for us. And today she's my inspiration. As a matter of fact, in 1993, when I was the first pick in the country, I was thinking about going to the University of Miami and being a quarterback and a shortstop, or signing with the Seattle Mariners. And it was quite a tough choice because my dream had always go graduate in 4 years, like we were speaking about, and then get your graduate degree and go get your master's in business. And here I am with the conundrum that I'm the first pick in the draft. And while it was great, it was really tough. So I ended up at the very last moment, at the 11th hour, going to sign with the Seattle Mariners. And I mainly did that because my mother was getting older and she was working so hard, I wanted her to retire. So I ended up signing the contract, and the first thing I did was I bought her a house, and I bought her a used small Mercedes-Benz. And I said, Mom, from this day on, you'll never work again. And she's still at home in Miami, not working. What happened?
She obviously did a good job raising her son. You said something last night that really stuck with me. You said we are all the average of the 5 people that we are most connected to. I never thought of it that way before. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, you know, growing up, you know, I went from high school prom, and a few months later, I was at Fenway Park facing Roger Clemens. And I cannot even begin to describe how nervous I was at Fenway Park. And my knees were shaking. And I remember I had a couple strikeouts in the bucket already. In my third at bat, I go, boy, I better not strike out again. These fans are gonna unload on me in Boston. And I was 18, and just a few months ago, I was playing in front of 122 people. And now I'm playing in front of 40,000 at Fenway Park. And I remember it was a 2-1 slider. I put the ball in play, and I was running to first base, and I said, holy smokes, this feels like a grand slam. I'm so happy that I put the ball in play. And it's all perspective, right? I was just happy that I didn't strike out. In that journey that brought me to Dallas, spending 6.5 years as a Seattle Mariner, going from Miami all the way to the Pacific Northwest, I had to bring out the map. I go, where's Seattle again? And you just become basically part of your own environment, and you don't get to really choose or select who's around you. But what I've learned as you get a little bit older is that those around you are some of the most important decisions you can make. And you're an average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And it's interesting, when I look at A-Rod Corp and some of the great people we've hired over the years, you know, as a CEO of my company, I have 2 responsibilities. Number 1 is hire the world's greatest talents. And number 2 is create a great culture. And then I get the hell out of the way and let them run the company. But truly, it's about people. And whether you're playing in business, whether you're in school like Dr. Flowers, is the people around that are gonna make you a champion. Look, I played for almost 25 years in the major leagues and was lucky enough to be part of 1 championship. And some of you are saying, boy, it's 24 failures. But the truth of the matter is not that we were bad in those 24 years, is that it's really, really hard to win. And it's hard to win in life, it's hard to win as a parent, it's hard to win as a student. Look, I got a call this morning from Jennifer, my partner, and she was in tears. And she was in tears because we have 4 children. And 2 of our children, of the schools we enrolled to, 2 of the 4 got rejected. And everybody's devastated back home. But just like Roland didn't give up, and just like Tom Hicks didn't give up, and some of all of you, it's not really about failing. 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs, when they start, they fail. You better get used to the word no. And what Jennifer has taught me is no one crushes the word no more than Jennifer. So I'm sitting here, I went to the bathroom, I'm giving Jennifer a pep rally, and I said, but I really have to talk to all my friends here in Dallas. And she's like, they can wait. Tell her you're on with J-Lo. I said, but I really, babe, really cannot do that. If she sees it in social media, she's gonna kill me. So now I'm nervous. But I'm a little heartbroken, but I'm also a little bit happy for them. You know, kids cannot, on one level, just hear the word yes. We have to introduce them to no.